Hello and welcome back to another live stream. Welcome back to the YouTube channel and welcome back to another match preview, people. Liverpool versus West Ham United Carabao Cup edition. Make sure to like the video as you're coming in. Pause and make sure to subscribe if you are new. We are on the road to 1K subscribers, so let that continue for us, guys. And yeah, at GVO Mikes on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you want to follow me on all platforms as well, people. Now, as the title says, people, we need to get this over with. And I have the same attitude towards this stream. Sorry, guys, but this stream is going to be a lot shorter. Well, not a lot shorter, like 40 minutes probably, because I've got a dry cough and I'm tired. But yeah, we need to get this over with. In Liverpool away, it's never good. But big up to Warrior and big up to the Bowling Lounge as well. I hope you're both doing well at this current moment in time. I am doing completely fine. We're not talking about this club at this current moment in time, but hold on, give me literally 1 second. But listen, people, we're going to get into the press conference first. And yeah, we're going to see what Lopetegui is talking about. But I don't know what kind of lineup we're going to line up with. I'm not exactly looking forward to the fixture in general, if I'm being 100% real with you guys. Everyone knows that West Ham going to Anfield ain't great. Everyone knows this. Like, everyone knows that we don't win there. You know, we don't get a result there. We haven't won there since 2015, the 15-16 season where we had Payet and they had Brendan Rodgers. That's how long it's been. We know Liverpool are hard to beat at Anfield anyway, but if Nottingham Forest can do it, why can't we? If Crystal Palace can do it, why can't we? I have a couple answers for that, but don't get me wrong. Like, we need to go into the mentality in every game of we can beat these teams. You know, we haven't won game in a while. We haven't won since game week 2. If we're talking about all competition, and we haven't won since the Bournemouth game, and even that was a bit mad in itself. Big up to FIFA Zilla as well. Hope you're doing well, my guy. But yeah, let's get straight into the Lopetegui press conference. Talks about Fulcrook first. Apparently, he trained today, and they're going to see how he is before the game tomorrow. But I'm going to assume that he's going to be in the squad at least, because like I don't know why they would say morning, mate. Big up, Jonathan. Hope you're well. But I'll listen. Fulcrook probably won't be his 100% self, because he's had an injury and he hasn't played since the Germany game where he got injured. However, we need him as soon as possible. We need to try something different. I'm not saying, like, I'm not these people that just want a shiny new toy for the sake of it when it comes to these players. But I'm saying my attitude towards this, the reason why I push for like the likes of Tadibo and Soler and Fulcrook to start is because the old guard ain't currently working. So let's try some of the new players and try letting them have a chance at this club. That's my attitude. Predicted lineup coming later. Yeah, we'll do that as well. We'll predict what Lopetegui is going to line up with, and we'll discuss what we want to line up with as well. As I said, we're probably going to do the press conference and answer all your questions in the chat, and all your talking points in the chat as well. Then we're going to do the lineups, and then we'll probably end the preview there. Lopetegui is asked about his squad. The most important thing is for all of them to have a tough match, to face a tough match. Well, what isn't a tough match for us at this point? We know we are going to play against the defending champions. Oh, right. Yeah, Carabao Cup, yeah. And at Anfield, where it's always tough. It's going to be a big challenge, but we're looking forward to it. Yeah, very generic statements, of course. Big ups to 300 as well. Hope you're doing well. Let me know if you want me to make... And let me know, like, anyone that isn't modded, let me know if you want me to make you a mod. I'm sorry if my tone is off. I'll try and keep my tone better, you know. People seem to complain about my tone. If Antonio Souček start, we will not be there. I mean, I agree. I can say the same for Mavropanos as well. For me and a certain number 5, but I have a feeling Sufa's going to start to give Emerson, Emerson, the rest, because Emerson can't play every game. Imagine he starts Aaron Cresswell against Liverpool. Like, we saw, like, and this is anything against Aaron Cresswell because I don't really particularly rate him anyway, but when he put him on against Chelsea and he was coming up against Madueke, like, it was just long for him. The guy is just not built to come up against any winger with any sort of pace. So even if Salah's not playing, he might come up against Chiesa, he might come up against Diaz on the right. He could come up against, I don't know who else they play on the right, to be fair. But whoever's going to play on the right is going to have him. a good game against Cresswell if he plays. I'm gonna assume he isn't gonna play, but it is what it is. Musty, I'm gonna make you a moderator. Yeah, I've made you a moderator now. If anyone else wants me to make them a mod, I'll do it. And I'll make you a mod as well, 300, because do you know what it is? I've made people mod share, and I think we're getting to that stage where we need mods on YouTube. So I guess you can say we've kind of made it to that stage. But yeah, I'm gonna make you as well a mod 300. But listen to Jojo as well. Get the likes up, people. If you haven't liked the video already, make sure to do it because it pushes the algorithm and we can push the new viewers as well. But big up to everyone here because you're all regulars. I feel special. But listen, tomorrow, like, I'm obviously like gonna be upset if we lose any game. Any game, of course. I don't expect to win. I've kind of already have a defeatist mentality as soon as a draw was happening, but I don't want the players to have a defeatist mentality because we go there, and the problem is we play the occasion of the stadium all the time. In my opinion, when I look at West Ham teams that have gone to um, Anfield in the past, the problem is we play like it's like everything's against us. I feel like the problem is we're playing at Anfield. You got to play like it's a normal stadium, and it isn't. Don't get me wrong. The circumstances usually isn't coming up against Liverpool in a normal stadium, like when it comes to Anfield. But however, just approach it like it's any other game, and then you can give them a go. Because there's been so many opportunities where we come up against worse Liverpool sides, and we've countered them, but we haven't been able to finish our chances. So uh, it is what it is. Big up to the Bowling Lounge as well, of course. Obviously, big up to 300 again. Good evening, Max. Big up to you, Colin. Sorry to hear that you're a bit under the weather. No, it was all good, bro. Just a dry cough. Loppy out the door. Seen enough. Too many problems going on behind the scenes for my liking. Yeah, for me, I don't know anything about behind the scenes. I'm gonna get onto something that I might think will be a problem behind the scenes in a minute. Um, but on the pitch, I'm not seeing anything that I think is going to take us forward. And what I don't like, guys, like this is why I don't scroll through Twitter anymore. Is because like a lot of the online fans, and I don't mean YouTube, I just mean like social media, will be a lot of it's going to be like Moyes in people versus JLo in people. That's what people call him, JLo. I never liked the nickname, but just shorter in it. The problem is it's going to be them versus them because both sides of the coin want to be wrong and strong. Meanwhile, there's me that's criticizing them both for the exact same thing. Now, yes, we are 5 and 6 games in all competitions in this, but however, there's a lot of questionable decisions that I don't feel like the manager is going to change anytime soon because if you have experience as a manager, you would usually fix up your mistakes by now in terms of the outline tactical mistakes. You know, like going man to man the other day wasn't it? And I feel like that's not going to be the last time we see that. You know, making the certain substitutions they make. So I don't feel like it's going to be the last time we see that. We've seen that from the very first game. So yeah, you should start doing watch alongs, mate. Would be a great watch. You know what? I'm gonna say the reason why I don't do watch alongs is because like away games, I watch games with family or friends of West Ham supporters that I know of. So I kind of just watch it on TV with them, and on home games I'm at the game. But one day, and that's why I did it for pre-season, so I could just do something new. But one day we will do watch alongs on the channel because I have a feeling I'm going to be doing this channel for a very long time. So we will do watch alongs eventually. It's just the right time and stuff like that as well. According to Paul Joyce, Liverpool are starting Chiesa, Endo, Jones, Kwanzaa, and Bradley. So that might be the best players they might be starting from. Well, actually, no. The way that's been listed there is all the fringe players that haven't started yet. So I think, okay, that's been briefed out. So that could go either way, really. That could go either way where the other positions that haven't been mentioned in that team could even be filled by senior players or by youngsters. Now, I've discussed this with Ryan before, like very briefly. Like, I think no matter what Liverpool's lineup will be, we will get beat. And the problem is with that is because I think Lopetegui, and we'll get onto this in a sec, that I think he's going to go with a second string lineup as well. As much as managers could go up in a press conference and say what they're thinking and say what the kind of mentality they want to bring to the squad and what they say in interviews, a lot of them don't follow it up. So my problem is that you remember the Bournemouth game? We lined up with that midfield of Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, and Souček, for example. That's not a midfield you would usually line up in a Premier League game. But then again, he lined up with Alvarez, Rodriguez, and Souček in the midfield against Fulham. But for me, that felt like he was going to throw away the cup. This is my problem, and we're gonna get onto this after this comment here. West Ham do have players to hurt Liverpool. However, Lopetegui doesn't have a clue. And you know what it is? I think we'll have chances in this game because there's obviously like Liverpool are always going to be open on the front foot, playing attacking at home. But even with the amount of attacking talent that we have, and even manager aside, we haven't finished our chances this year so far. Even like the best players that we've had, like the best players we have so far, like Kudus. I know he's been playing good on the left, but there's been times where you think maybe he could have had a couple shots that could have gone better. Obviously, Antonio hasn't been great. Bowen hasn't really been used right, but even there's a couple of times where you think maybe you could do better as well. Paquetá doesn't shoot the ball; he wants to pass it through everyone all the time. We don't finish our chances, and even when we do get our chances, we fluff it. Even Somerville's been hitting the post, but he's had very brief game time compared to the rest of the players I've just named. So, the real question is, what team is Lopetegui going to start with? I still can't believe Kudus plays on the left, sackable offense. I completely agree. The thing is, a lot of us have been saying this since the Betway Cup game, like when we faced Celta Vigo. I was at the game, and I remember like Kudus was combining well on the left with Paquetá and Emerson as like a three in a triangle, but we haven't seen that triangle since. We've just seen Paquetá on the other side of midfield or roaming right at number 10. I want him to be on the left 8 because he can then connect with Emerson and Kudus. The thing is, he played okay there, but I even tweeted at this. I said maybe Kudus can play on the left, but you won't get the best out of him. And what we've seen then is we've seen glimpses of a moments player where you're making Kudus a moments player when playing him on the left. The guy is very special, just as a general footballer. So the problem is with all of that, when you play him on the right and play him in the number 10, you're actually getting the most out of him, But Joe, we're going to skip the press conference actually because a lot of you guys have discussed it already. We're going to go into the lineups. And what I want to say lineups, the West Ham lineup. So I will give the lineup I want to line up with, and I will give the lineup that Lopetegui is going to line up with, assuming it's going to be 4-3-3 as well. Okay. Oh, by the way, Bowen cannot play on top. Yep. That's the thing. Even though, like, and I've said, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself from like previous shows that I've been on, and even on this channel, but I said in the preview to the Chelsea game, I want Bowen up front, and then Ings to come off the bench. But it's more for the lack of options we have whilst Nicholas Fulkirk is here that is going to be effective, rather than the fact that I actually want to see Bowen up front, because a lot of people want to see Bowen up front, just in general, just as the main striker for whatever reason. And people will be like, but it worked last season. Now, if you go and watch last season, yes, you will see that statistically Bowen did start up front most of the time. However, if you look at the goals that he scored, most of it was coming off the right-hand side position and the inside channel positions, where he's the best at, from the right-hand side. He's not a fox-in-the-box player, and it's not even fair to judge him on that. You saw against Chelsea, he was completely out of his depth at the striker position. The guy can spin players, don't get me wrong. He can hold the ball and turn and drive with the ball and shoot, but you'd want that in the pockets of the right-hand side position. The problem is as well, I've said this many times again, the manager likes to play the right winger hugging the touchline for whatever reason, and whoever's playing fullback, whether it's Wan-Bissaka or Vladimir Seifel, to go ahead and invert. Oh, yeah. No, because you said Bowen on top. Fuck's sake, if only Mellon was here. But yeah, let's get straight into the lineup. Okay. 4-3-3. 4-3-3. I think he's already said that Fabianski is going to start and go, and he says to be the what's it called, the cup goalkeeper. So I'm fine with Fabianski, starting as the cup goalkeeper. I don't know why this isn't working. Hold on. But I'm going to start with what lineup I want to line up with for this game. Or actually, no, I'm just going to do predicted, because in my head, I don't know what I would want for a cup game lineup. But let's predict what Lopetegui's going to do. I have a feeling he's going to play Seifel at right back, just to replace Emerson. And because Emerson took a recent knock, he came back for Chelsea. I think he's going to get a rest. This is my problem right here, right centre back. Now, guys, there's 10 people here so far, so you guys heard it here first. If Todibo doesn't start tomorrow, it's a problem. There's a problem internally at the club. We're discussing, what's it called? Behind the scenes issues, like Colin referred to it earlier. This could be a behind the scene issue. John cleared Todibo, because if he plays 5 games for West Ham, then the 40 million gets triggered. Now, so far, he's played 3 games in all competitions and 2 games in the Premier League. So I don't know whether the clause is to do with Premier League games or not, but anywho, we get into it. Um, Now the thing is, people are now saying that Lopetegui's avoiding to play him so they don't trigger the clause. Now, if that's true, then I don't think Tadibo would be playing in the first place. So I'd like to think that I'd rather it just being that the manager's being stupid with his decisions to play Mavropanos over John Claude Tadibo. But he only got 45 minutes in the Carabao Cup because I'm pretty sure he got a yellow card straight away. But it was very harsh to take him off at halftime. And literally, Mavropanos came on in that game and got ran ragged by Evan Nilsson. It doesn't matter even if it is Darwin Núñez at this current moment in time, that's going to start for them. Obviously, he scored on the weekend. You never know with him. And he scored against us a couple of times before. If it's Darwin Núñez, Jota, Salah up front, could be anyone up front, even Gakpo, Mavropanos is going to have a hard game. And he's going to have a hard game, especially against the big strikers. And the problem is he jumps from centre-back too quick. So Liverpool have players that can run in behind, which also affects us. You could argue Fabianski could be your number one goalkeeper. I wouldn't say any more. I'd say he's like, Joe, even in general, like I think Areola offers more in terms of distribution and stuff like that. Fabianski is a better cross collector, probably the best cross collector that I've seen. So there's arguments for both. I'd say right now though, it's still Areola, but there's not really much in it. I think overall, if they're both at their best, it's very tough. Big up to Charlie as well. Loppy no clue just doesn't know what he's doing. He can identify decent. Yeah, he can't identify decent players. I hear that. What is your centre back options? So centre back options are Mavropanos, Tadibo, and Kilman, with Kalen Casey, youngster, or Edson Alvarez being the fourth choice after loaning out again, which I'm fine with. To be honest. I'll be real. Areola on fraud watch, so I hear it. But Areola's form is questionable. I would say against Chelsea, don't get me wrong, he was questionable. I would say overall he's been fine. For me, I don't really see. I haven't really seen what people have been seeing with Areola this season in terms of like the bad stuff he's been doing. You know, I haven't really seen that. I would say the only time Areola really worried me was against Chelsea, where he nearly, nearly got tackled with the ball. Other than that, I think he's been fine. There was times where he saved us in certain games. Even against Man City, it could have been worse. Again, in the first half, it could have been worse. And then Fabianski saved us in the second half. But I'm completely fine with Areola. For me, it's just been the defense not communicating properly. That's allowing him to, concede all these goals. But I don't know whether any of the goals that I'm looking at and thinking he could have done better with. For me, it's mainly been the defense, but I could be wrong. I don't think Areola's a fraud, though. Big up to Colin again. My lineup would be Fabianski, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Kilman, Tadibo, Skulls, Somerville, Paquetá, Alvarez, Solo, Kudus, Bowen up front, Impact subs, Guillermo and Ings. Joe, I wouldn't mind it. I think Bowen up front and then Ings coming off the bench. If Fulkirk isn't injured, that's pretty much our only choice, in my opinion. Antonio, even when he's come off the bench, yeah, it's long. Joe, I hear you. I hear you, Charlie, when it comes to the last comment, especially, because I do think that the thing should have got there in the first place. But to be fair, he does make himself big. So you can't really do much about getting nutmeg, because if he closes his legs, Jackson's going to put the ball around him. I just think we should have done better in the midfield, because in the midfield and the defense, it shouldn't get there in the first place, But I'll watch him a bit closer. But going back to the right centre back thing, it's going to piss me off, but he's going to start Mavropanos again. Hold on. Oh, Mavrob. I've been spelling his name wrong the whole time. I thought it was Mavropanos, whatever. And Max Kilman has started every game. He's one of Lopetegui's favourites, as he had him at Wolves, made him captain at Wolves, and wanted him as a signing. Skulls won't play tomorrow, so he played youth game tonight. Well, that's a shame. I think Skulls is hopefully the Cresswell replacement. I believe in Ollie Skulls. He's one of my favourite off the crop that we've got coming up. But left back, I do think it will be Wan-Bissaka. He's obviously filled in there before with us, and he did well there against Bournemouth in the Carabao Cup. You'd probably play him there just in case Salah starts, even though he probably won't. But just in case Salah starts, just put him there. So 4-3-3 midfield is the big one, This one's tough because you could play quite a few players in here. Now, who do I think he's going to play? He's probably going to start Souček, because he didn't start against Chelsea and he put him on in the 3rd minute, so he clearly wants to shag him. think now he can't bench both Alvarez and Rodriguez, but I have a feeling because Rodriguez got subbed off, uh, Rodriguez will play again. Why is it gone? Fucking hate autocorrect, man. Autocorrect. Fucking hell. Yeah, hold on. Why is it? This is bugging out today. Hold on, let me get to your comments quick. Mavropanos is annoying us in defense and attack. All our corners seem to go to him, and I don't think he's got one on target this season. I also don't think the corners in general have been good enough deliveries because we keep putting Bowen on the outswingers, and I don't rate outswingers unless you're a specialist at corners. But I do agree. Mavropanos seems to is one of them centre backs where he's good at winning the ball in the air. He's not good at directing the ball. And listen, I'm kind of spoiling it, but this is a midfield I think he's going to line up with Guido, Souček, and Soler. Soler, Alvarez, and Curtis is my midfield. That would be my midfield as well if it was up to me. If Tadibo doesn't play, I'll be fuming. Same, bro. Same. I think we've got to ask questions that there's something internal happening in terms of the transfer clause if Tadibo doesn't start. Unless ex-West Ham employee said anything that I haven't seen yet, but I've not been on social media that much. I think Lopetegui does not know what his best 11 is yet. He doesn't. Yeah, I do agree with you, Darren. My problem is as well, especially with that on your point, is also the fact that he's starting most of the best players that I think are the best players on the bench, and it seems to be hindering us quite a bit. Like I've seen Soler on the bench. Like I know he's just got here, but I've had 3 games to start Soler. He hasn't started yet. What's it called? Tadibo hasn't started. He hasn't. He's had plenty of chances to start Tadibo, and he's had plenty of chances to start Somerville. So, your team would be okay. So Charlie said his team would be Fabianski, Aaron Bissaka, Tadibo, Kilman, Emerson, Alvarez, Soler, Kudo, Somerville, Ings, Bowen. That would be my team in probably general until Fulkirk is back. That's probably my team apart from the goalkeeper. Even in league games, like I hear that. I fully hear that lineup. Like, I think we keep the ball better. But I also, do you know what I'm also thinking as well? I've also thought that no matter what lineup we line up with, I just think the manager's a big problem. Because even when we start with, like, the lineups that people want, it doesn't seem to be going well tactically in terms of every player keeps coming short for the ball. There seems to be no direction in the attack. There seems to be no, like, fluid movement within the attack where we are allowing ourselves to stretch the players, or stretch the teams. Because everyone is making us very predictable. Like, when the midfield has the ball, all the attackers are like, okay, can I have it short? No one's, and when we do running behind, it's just a lucky, not even a lucky pass. It's a pass with no idea behind it. But yeah, Carlos Soler, third midfielder. I think Carlos Soler has to start. Otherwise, when else are we going to see him start? The guy's only on loan. And if we don't play him enough, he's not going to want to join in the permanent deal anyway. He's going to look for another move once he returns from PSG because we don't have the buy option anymore because we took that out just to get, what's it called? Just to get the deal over the line in deadline day. So that's my problem with that. On the right, who's he going to line up with? Probably Kudus. I think he'll line up with Kudus on the right. Get another game. Bowen up front, probably. Actually, does he line up with... maybe he lines up with Antonio. No, do you know what? Because Antonio didn't start. Maybe he lines up with Antonio. So it could be Bowen on the right, Antonio up front. But left wing, Somerville. Surely. You took him off. You have no excuse. This is the lineup I think you'll line up with. Is it the lineup I would line up with? No. But I can see this happening. A very tough game, in my opinion. Big up to Ryan, as always. Yeah, for us. Very tough game for us. Not for you. Not for you. Yeah, he was set up weird. Get Bowen and Somerville to stick to the touchline. Yeah. That's a big problem for me, because as much as Somerville can be good on the touchline, you want Emerson on the touchline. You want Somerville in the pockets. You want Bowen in the pockets. You want whoever's playing right back to hug the touchline. I don't really want Soufal playing at all, but if he's going to play, at least let him hug the touchline. Why is Soufal playing inverted at times? Whoever's playing right back has played on the inside, making underlapping runs. They're not even tucking in. They're not tucking in. So it's just been Soufal underlapping, Wan-Bissaka underlapping. These are not like, even though Wan-Bissaka's been decent so far, Wan-Bissaka's not a specialist in a right back that's good in midfield, He's not that kind of player. and you got to play players that are good in possession if you want to play them inverted. Mohamed Kudus, Ings, and Bowen. That could be one. That could be one. The thing is, I don't know whether he starts. I know I put it there, but I think he might not start with Kudus and Bowen, so I might have to change that. Big up to the Villa fan as always. He won't play Kilman though when he should. I think he'll play Kilman. The problem is he won't play Sadiba. I think he's just going to stick with Kilman and Mavropanos because Kilman seems to be the favourite. But yeah, oh, Sadiba. Yeah, you meant Sadiba. Okay. Yeah. He's lost in the head. He's lost in the head. And to be honest, it's not just West Ham fans that can see it as well. Some of you guys are Chelsea fans, so we've got Villa fans, Liverpool fans. We've got many different fans that watch this channel, like Wolves fans as well. Like it's not only us that are saying it. And I say us, not all of us agree as West Ham fans on this channel, but it is, and people are going to say it's an agenda against them. They didn't want Lopetegui to win in the first place. No, a lot of people, like, if you're a West Ham fan, you would rather the manager that's there at the current moment in time just to do well. So you don't have to go through all the pressure and all the hassle of sacking another manager so we have to restart again. However, we're only going to say what we see. And Lopetegui isn't doing well. I would rather Lopetegui just played his best players, and let's say we were still losing the games, but we were performing way better, and it only came down to players missing chances and stuff, then I can, be more critical of the attack rather than the manager. If we were just conceding goals from giving away the ball all of the time, playing out from the back, then I can blame the defensive midfield a lot. Or maybe I can look at the structure. You reckon he's not his favourite? Because the only reason why I'm saying that is because he made him captain at Wolves and he's played him every game. So, but yeah, he's been up best at the back. And to be fair, he doesn't have any other option. Because even if you're playing Tadibo and Mavropanos, poor Tadibo. If you're playing Kilman and Mavropanos, poor Kilman. And that's the thing. My opinion of Mavropanos, like, stayed the same. If he plays if he goes in for a game, he'll give you a good game. But if he's playing week in, week out, don't trust him. I remember even in the Newcastle 4-3, he was actually one of our better defenders. It was Zuma and Sufa that let him down, in my opinion. And he showed that he can defend well, it's just not week in, week out. If Diaz plays against Sufa in the form he's in, we are going to get cooked differently. Yeah, if Diaz, listen, I think whoever plays, I've said this in the Chelsea previews, when it came down to Chelsea's many options down the left-hand side. For Liverpool, I think the exact same thing where whoever plays on the left-hand side for Liverpool is going to have a great game against Vladimir Sufa, because I think he's one of the most guaranteed to start due to the fact of some of the basic changes he will make. And to be honest, I don't like this midfield. I'll be honest. I don't like this midfield because it just relies so much on Carlos Soler to just create. And he's not even meant to be the main creator. We're meant to bring him in to play, I'm going to assume, alongside Alvarez with Paquetá, but I don't think we're going to see that midfield. I don't think we're going to see the back four that we want. We're not going to see the front three that we want either. And, when you have all them players there and you're not getting the best out of them and you're not starting your best players, it just says more about the manager than it does about the players, obviously, because what are the best players meant to do when they're on the bench? Excuse me, sorry. Sorry for any headphone users. He's a clueless manager, Mike, and not to be harsh, but if you played your new 11, including all your new signings, you wouldn't be where you are. Yeah, maybe. Do you know what it is as well? I agree with you. Like, we should be playing like our new signings as well. It's just coming to the fact in my head that even if we did, I just think this manager wouldn't know how to use them still. Like, just even in terms of basic instruction. So even then, maybe we would have given more teams a go. But I think regardless of what lineup we were going to play against Chelsea, Chelsea would have beaten us just because of the fact that it was the way we set up. For me, not in terms of playing high up the pitch, but man marking. We've got on about it too much, but that was my problem, Sorry, I'm trying to get to every comment. Will be Gakpo left? Maybe, and even then, I'd be afraid for C5 Gakpo's playing left because Gakpo on the slot could be a different player, and also Gakpo looks like a good squad player. Maybe not a starting, but a good squad player for Liverpool. And you could probably argue that he just didn't suit Klopp's system. Tomorrow, Liverpool should be going out, but they won't, will they? That's the thing. Like, Liverpool, hypothetically, could line up with a really weak team. I'm going to assume Tsimikas is also going to play alongside Kwanzaa and Bradley. Then again, Tsimikas is a good player. Endo, and Jones. Jones gave us hell last season. Remember the game when we lost against Liverpool last season in the Carabao Cup? I know it was a different team, but even that lineup, it was shite because Fornals and Ben Rama, the two ugly twins. I remember that lineup as well, like where them two just stinking out the place, and we just didn't get through them. And Ben Johnson, oh Jesus Christ, Ben Johnson was playing that game as well. But Curtis Jones ran ragged, Diaz ran ragged. I think it was Diaz, either Diaz or Nunes. I can't remember who. One of them was running ragged against our team then as well. I just don't like watching it. I'm gonna just be upset just watching the game because I'm not even gonna show any anger anymore in terms of the games. My anger comes from the gaslighting from opposition fans and so-called neutrals that don't watch West Ham United, a bit like last season. I don't like any midfield with Souček in it. Preach, brother. Souček going to be playing in a 10 and giving away balls, a Woodall game. Yep. Fulcrook must be thinking, what was he thinking? He could be in UCL now. I think he was offered up by Dortmund because they wanted other strikers in it. But he must be thinking, what on earth have I walked into? Like, I know it looks like on the surface that new signings that are settling in. They're like, no, we're trusting the process and all that, but they're human. They're human as well. So you're thinking that they're thinking what we're thinking, but just from a player perspective. Maybe their perspective is slightly different, but I kind of agree. Mikes, I think this will be Loppy's team. Fabianski, Emerson, Kilman, Tadibo, Sufal, Somerville, Paquetá, Souček, Soler, Kudus, and Bowen up front. Lobby heard not play Alvarez, Rodriguez, Aaron Bissaka, and Mavropanos. If he starts Paquetá, Souček, and Soler in midfield, Soler and Paquetá aren't getting the ball because Souček is the deepest line midfielder. But if that is the team, we're gonna get run ragged regardless. But it's 3 of the 4 that I wanted to see in the back 4. It's Bowen up front again. So it's just going to be a mixed match of absolute mess. Excuse me. Sorry, but hold on. Let me just cough. Excuse me. I got to get up at 5 a.m. for kickoff. It's so jarring knowing we're going to get slapped. That's peak on a weekday as well. On a weekday. I actually feel sorry for you, not going to lie. Bro, Charlie, like, you probably will watch it anyway, but don't watch it. Bro, don't watch the game. You got to get up at 5 a.m. to watch us play at Anfield. Don't watch the game. And I'm like, being genuinely serious. Don't watch it. Because I shouldn't even be watching it. And it's on at 8 p.m. Mike, Liverpool fans didn't know who Slot was until the summer. How people are overachieving with him, I will not know. He's using the Klopp side that has the capability. Slot is an average coach. I would have taken Slot at West Ham, though. I think he would have got way more out of us than he did at than Lopetegui did. Than Lopetegui is doing, sorry. Obviously, I'm realistic because he wanted to go to Liverpool. I think with Slot, it's just going to take time, and I don't think it helps when the only players they've signed aren't going to start for them. So I think he's coached them well so far. I just think that they needed a bit of a refreshing in voice. Not even necessarily like Klopp fell off as a coach or anything like that. You think the bowling lounge you've predicted Lobby's 11 will be Fabianski, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Kilman, Tadibo, Sufal, Souček, Soler, Kudus, Somerville, Ings, and Bowen. Again, Souček playing as the deepest line midfielder. This is the thing. This is not anything against you and Colin because you're just predicting what Lopetegui's going to do. But Souček as the deepest line midfielder, I'm sure you guys can all agree it'll just kill our eyesight. Like Lopetegui trying to play Souček to dictate play. That is hell. We need either one of Alvarez or I know Rodriguez isn't like fantastic on the ball or anything, but he's way better than Souček. I know he's slow as well, but like I think Rodriguez shouldn't play against Liverpool, just with the way Liverpool just attack on a transition. I wish I could, man, but I can't help myself. Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I fully understand that. There's always that slight glimmer of hope in the back of my mind. We do the unthinkable. No, I hear that. I do hear that. Oh yeah, definitely because Lopetegui was never Prem quality. I do agree, and that's the thing. That's the thing that Wolves fans were right about. They weren't right about Kilman, but they were right about Lopetegui. And did I think that Wolves fans were just, bitter that Lopetegui left because they weren't getting back to it? It's kind of proving now that he was kind of right in that situation. Yeah, and to be honest, I don't rate Gary O'Neill that high as a manager. But at the same time, he's not exactly doing well with us. He went from a relegation battle straight back to a European battle, and I'm just looking at him like, nah, Nah. And this is the same manager that got battered by Brighton as well, by the way. In the same season, we got battered by Brighton as a Wolves manager as well. So his teams are capable of getting battered. But maybe that's too much of a reach. I don't know. But looking at this game in general, if I'm looking at it just from a neutral point of view, trying to take my West Ham hat off, I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's not an individual battle that I think we win unless we play Kudus against Simicast in terms of the 1v1 battles across the field, whether that encapsulates in our midfield, in their defense of our attack, or with our defense and their attack. Because I just see flashbacks and getting PTSD from seeing fucking Salah or Chiesa, even though Chiesa's never played against us. I'm sure he'll get his debut goal. Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo running out our defense, and our defense just going backwards and backwards and backwards, like constantly just backwards, and then we don't close them down. What usually happens at Anfield is that we have a chance and we usually miss at least one sitter where we think we could get back into the game. If you watch the games back at Anfield, there's at least one of those every game. And then usually what happens is the reason why we concede against Liverpool is because we get easily skinned, make a really bad defensive error, or we don't close the men down. And especially the players on Liverpool's quality, we never seem to close the men down. And I don't get footballers, that don't like just let people shoot on the edge of the box like they're not Premier League footballers that they're coming up against. Like it can't deflect a going, or like it can't hit top corner, and then you're seeing a Premier League goal of the month compilation as well. I feel like we've been battered every game, even in the wins and draws. Against Fulham, it felt like that. Especially against Fulham, it felt like a bad loss because I didn't celebrate that goal because I'm not at the game, so I'm not going to celebrate that kind of goal against the draw. And even when, what's it called? Even if when the adrenaline stops after even celebrating a goal, you're just thinking, we drew to Fulham away. People are going to be like, but we got battered last year. If a 5-0 from last season is the bar of your expectations, get your head out of the mud. Get your head out of the mud and expect better and demand better for your club. Because if you're like, oh, well, it's better than a 5-0 loss, well, it shouldn't get worse than a 5-0 loss. Like, that's just an example. Don't get me wrong, did I do this exact same thing with the Crystal Palace game? Yes, because we made two different approaches to the game. And the one time we actually did win was when we approached the game different against Crystal Palace. We defended really well that game, especially in the second half. We just haven't seemed to capitalize on that. And I still had criticisms of us in that win as well. Just I was also very happy to beat Crystal Palace, as I like to talk Crystal Palace fans. They still haven't won a game, by the way. Even though I did predict them to finish 9th. Mate, I have the recipes. West Ham fans had a go at me for saying Lopetegui won't bring you places. Lol, who's laughing now? You should have got an Amarim. I still don't know why it broke down in negotiations. I don't know the specific details, but I think my thing is because Amarim had a lot of pressure from the sporting fans to the way he was talking with West Ham. So he kind of just apologized for it and they kind of had to move on. Now we have no chance again, Amarim now. We have no chance again, Amarim. So that's what we should have done. And even if, let's hypothetical situation, as I mentioned last video, Lopetegui goes, Amarim overtakes him. This is not an Amarim team. Aaron Bissaka as a wing back does not work. The midfield, I don't think Rodriguez suits an Amarim team. But he will also get way better out of the squad than, Lopetegui did, because that's not hard in my opinion. I made so many arguments over the last few days with some of our idiotic fan base who still twerk for Moyes, acting like we didn't get battered on the regular. Yeah, that's my thing with it as well. Like, the problem is, there's always a war in the fan base where we never agree. The only time the whole fan base was connected was when we won the cup and when we signed them 5 players in 2 weeks. But then again, there were still people that didn't want to give Tim Stiden credit that kind of wanted to be wrong and strong. The problem is now it's gone back to a lot of people that are Moyes in just are going to say anything about the next manager coming in. There was people online saying, I hope the next manager fails so our fan base get a reality check. Well, you're not a fan then because you want us to lose just so you could be proven right because you care more about being right than you do, what's it called? Us winning. Excuse me. My sources tell me Rodriguez, the lobby had a bust up on Saturday game and all. I don't know who your sources are, but enlighten me, please. Sorry, I read that one. Our fan base are like Arsenal, so I wouldn't go that far because they're a different type of cancer towards the footballing world. But I think, especially online, like if you go online, every online fan base is the same. They have wars with each other. They are interaction farming. That's why I made the tweet. I don't know if anyone saw the tweet about Lopetegui being bad doesn't make Moyes any better last season, and I used the Chelsea battering as an example, just as one example. And then people thought I was people, the Moyes inners tried gaslighting and twisting it into I'm comparing Chelsea away 5-0 to Chelsea losing at home 3-0. I was like, yeah, we lost 5-0 as well. Of course, we beat the 3-1, but we lost 5-0 as well. But they were like, yeah, but that was away from home. So I was like, okay, is that all right then? And then, what's it called? They were like, no, it just doesn't fit your agenda. I'm like, what? You're the only one with an agenda. Like, I would literally didn't at anyone. I said I was talking about Moyes inners and the people that were Moyes in from last season that were trying to justify Moyes by criticizing Lopetegui got offended by that. So if the shoe fits, the shoe fits. Like I'm not atting anyone. I don't look at my timeline. We are in trouble if we play anything like we did on the weekend. I agree with Wasim. Hope you're doing well, my guy. Lawless is our tie. I think we've got. I think I can name a couple worse examples. But the thing is with like, listen, I'm cool with vaguely cool with Lawless. Like, I'm mutuals on Twitter. He's in a lot of like football debates where they're gonna just slander West Ham, so he's always gonna be like wrong and strong, bigging up the club because there's a lot of people that go for him on like the Football 12 Man podcast. So I don't watch it week in week out, but I see the clips. Like he has the wars with like the Palace fan and Dan Potts, etc. From the season before we won the Conference League, what made you Moyes out then, Charlie? I'm curious because let me tell like a lot of people are new to the channel. So let me tell you when I was Moyes out, and you can check this. It was the Arsenal game where we came back from the World Cup and we lost 3-1. Was it 3-1? Yeah, we lost 3-1. And it wasn't because we lost to Arsenal. I was Moyes out from when the lineup came out. Because if you remember before the World Cup, we were demanding a lot of changes. We were demanding Skamaka play on a regular and him be given a chance. We were demanding Flynn Downs to be given a chance to play alongside Rice or Lanzini playing deeper. And we was demanding a lot of like changes. But he came out with pretty much a similar lineup to where we lost against Leicester and Crystal Palace at the time. And I was Moyes out from the lineup. So that was pretty much Moyes out from then. And I was like, let him go at the end of the season after he wins the Conference League. Obviously, that was never going to happen. And it was pretty much said that if Moyes had lost the Conference League, he would have been let go. But like, I'm not gonna throw away the trophy just to see Moyes out. You know, like any normal club would just look at it for what it is. But the problem is this is where Sullivan does come into it, is that he just decided to let him go on a free because he doesn't want to pay the compensation for the contract. So he got started into look over the year and then address it for what he could address it for. So that's why last season was kind of like pointless. It was one of the most pointless seasons of West Ham history last season. The back end of that season, he was absolutely horrendous. Oh yeah, the 21-22 season. It was similar to last season's form in the 2024 calendar, because in the 2022 calendar we barely won any games. I didn't have any like Moyes out things then, but I was critical still. I'm always critical. I was just critical of tactics and certain like lineups, etc., where he could have adjusted it. But I didn't have a problem with the football. It was just like certain games. Like I had a problem with playing at Tottenham away. I know we were tired, but when we lost 3-1, I was just like, you could have done better. You could have approached that game better. Like, and the Man United away one where we didn't go for it against Man United. We even when most of us were Moyes in, we were very critical of the fact that we didn't come up when we came up against the big six teams. We would just sit back, and that's what allowed us to lose pretty much most away games. Like we only won against like Norwich away from home in that calendar year. I'm pretty sure, and Crystal Palace. I'm pretty sure those were the only 2 away games we won in 2022 with that season ending. And there's a lot to go into why West Ham are the way they are at this current moment in time, but that's also another conversation for another day. Lopi and Rodriguez at the bus stop at my sister told me he has been having rounds with players. We'll see, innit? We'll see if that all comes into fruition. I didn't agree with Lopetegui just scapegoating Rodriguez, and I'm not saying Rodriguez played well because he didn't. And I mentioned this on Lewis's channel, like, you could have taken off a lot of players if you was gonna make a ruthless sub, you don't take off one player because it wasn't like Rodriguez was the only one playing bad, and he was the sole cancer reason of why we were performing bad against Chelsea. It was because of Lopetegui. If Lopetegui wanted to change something, he should have changed the setup. And I think it was if you guys go and watch Match of the Day, of the way I think it was Danny Murphy and Ashley Williams, the way they analysed the way Lopetegui set up is completely perfect to what we was complaining about. And they even mentioned he changed the setup in the second half, but by the time the third goal went in, it was the start of the second half. So you already had a mountain to climb just before that we conceded right at the start of the second half. So it's kind of pointless. Yeah, the form was awful, so I wanted him gone. The best thing he'd done for our club, which would have been if he had left after we won the cup, would have been a solid foundation for a new coach. Do you know what would have been perfect as well? We could all think in hindsight. Snyder was brought in that summer, so if we was to let Moyes go, it would have taken longer. Don't get me wrong, to bring in a new coach, but if he had brought in Snyder would have brought in a coach in that season as well. So God knows what coach we could have had that was available to us then, whether we would pay compensation or not. But we're not ruthless enough. We're getting there in terms of the ruthlessness, in terms of like player stuff, but we're not getting there in terms of manager stuff as yet. We're going to see if that develops in the future, depending on what kind of structure we have and stuff like that as well. But guys, I have a dry cough. I'm going to end it there. But I'll answer this last. I'm going to answer this last question, but then I'm going to end it there. Question: was Souček better or worse than Rodriguez? I'd say better, but we would at that point. It couldn't really get worse because Souček actually put in quite a few blocks in. Like he didn't really have to do anything on the ball because he was playing deepest. But I wouldn't start him over Rodriguez, but he did play better than Rodriguez. But for example, when Souček came on, the setup changed. So he didn't man mark Palmer like Rodriguez did, or man mark whoever he was man marking on the pitch. So if Souček was also coming on to do that job, I think he would have struggled as well. The problem was mobility on the pitch. And he brought on another immobile player for an immobile player. That was my problem. He needed to bring on a solo to get control of things. We needed control of the game. We didn't get control of the game. That was my problem with the substitution in general. But big up to Charlie. Big up to everyone that's contributed to the chat so far. And I'm going to end the stream there. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to. My social medias are in the description if you want to follow me. And the email for the inquiries. We're on the road to 1K subscribers at GVOMax on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. We're going to have the match reaction to the Liverpool game tomorrow at 10 p.m. Big up to everyone. Hope you guys have a nice evening and a good week. I'll see you guys.